it starts from the very beginning, knowing who those people you want are, because then your messaging, is everybody going to be perfect? Of course not. The numbers are important, but the fun aspect is too.
Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And the four of us are back again. We have the Aussie Steve. We've got the Irish Jono. We have the Floridian Janine. And I'm not quite sure what I am, but I'm here too. And I'm really excited about the topic today. Johnson, tell us what we're talking about.
Yes, really exciting topic, Ronan. And just want to say I can't believe that you and Janine left me with the Aussie for 10 days while you were at imaging. But anyway.
10 days?
Now, I've just come up from my 1 year anniversary. So.
Oh, wow, yes.
So,
your 1 year anniversary.
The Aussie, surely I sound Irish now. Surely.
There's a shock in the water, Steve.
Irish, you know yourself, Steve. You now know what that means, don't you?
I know what that means now.
You're definitely Irish.
The Aussie,
the poor Floridian down here in the land of no accents. Nothing fun.
No accent, Janine. None.
No accent. You all have the accents. I don't have the accent. Is that what you're saying, Janine?
Yep.
Y'all have the accent.
Y'all.
So what we're talking about today, Ronan, is we're talking about ads and marketing.
And this golden opportunity that was handed to us.
Yes. So Steve, fill us in on the golden opportunity, because you were the source of the golden opportunity.
Well, I had a client reach out who has done a number of workshops, and obviously the workshops are all about booking conversion and selling and studio setup. And she's built this incredible studio and has been using ad agencies to generate her leads. And this is her third ad agency, because she has been struggling to find an ad agency that can generate the leads that she needed. And she reached out in desperation because they hadn't had any bookings hadn't had any leads for a couple of months. And so I spoke to Jono, and we got the opportunity, didn't we, Jono, to help someone in need.
Mm.
And so really we needed to turn the tap on instantly and turn this around pretty much instantly.
So what was the process? How did you guide the client? Where did you start? Did you go straight into Facebook and just create ads on the fly, or what did you do?
Well, the first thing I did was ask the client to send me who her avatar was, because the ad agency is probably working towards that avatar, and we needed to understand. Because I've worked with her for so long, I probably know her avatar better than she does, probably. But I asked her to send it because then we needed to know and just make sure that, she understood it, because it's great us understanding her, but she, the client needs to understand it, because they need to speak to it. And then the ad agency also needs to understand it, because they need to target their ads towards it. And so while I looked at that, Jono had a few things that he needed. And so we kind of worked in tandem, because this needed to turn around and flip pretty much instantly.
This is the first project Steve and I kind of worked together on. Obviously what we've been teaching about ads works and has been working for years, but we wanted to use this as an opportunity to also elevate what we're doing and to make it even.
Yeah, and I haven't been anyone's subordinate for a long time, Jono.
You're so funny. So, I think Steve knows people better than anyone on the planet almost. And having that with the ad copy formula and creating the ads and the offer, and even elevating the offer was huge, and how we structure the offer. And
before you go there, John, can we just wind back a little bit? Because, I would say a lot of people, even people who join the inner circle, right? Even when we teach them to start that the avatar is the foundation to everything you do, not just your marketing, but everything in your business, right? That often we see our members not doing the avatar piece. So I'm really curious, Steve, you asked this client to send you their avatar. So how did that go?
Well, what was sent to me was not an avatar. What was sent was a wish to be praised as a photographer, really. And so it was more about somebody that loves photography, somebody that loves my work, and, you know, somebody who's looking for a luxury experience, pretty much.
Why do you think that is, Steve? Because we've seen that a lot. Why, when we ask for someone's avatar, does that seem to be what we mostly end up getting back?
I think as an industry, that's what we've been told, that if we pitch ourselves as a luxury studio, if we win the awards, if we have this particular lighting and we take better photos, then clients will be beating down our doors. And so don't feel as though as an industry we've taken enough time to understand what clients want through their eyes, what is going through their minds when they're looking for a photographer. What do they really, really, really want? What are they really after? And what are they really after when they're buying wall art, or if they're buying portrait boxes or albums? Why? What's going through their mind? What's the purpose? And so I think, you know, Difference Makers probably the first group of people that have sort of really begun to look at what clients really want, because, you know, I've spent quite a bit of time interviewing those people that are buying wall art, that are buying photography sessions. And for me, that's the first place we need to look, because how do we know where to market? How do we know what to say? How do we know how to connect with these people to build the desire, so then we don't have to be selling at them? So I think it's what we've been told, Janine, that we have to do. But in reality, it doesn't work. And so if we don't understand the clients, we don't understand what they need to hear and what they're really after, then how can we market to them? We don't know what we're selling.
And it's funny, Janine, this particular client also joined as a member of the Inner Circle. They're a member of the Inner Circle, and they're recently in the Inner Circle, we did like a lesson on the value of photography and what, you know, really matters to clients and what we're about, and creating something that's priceless. And they said, oh my God, you know, we took that video and we listened to it and we were like, wow, it clicked with us. And, you know, we were focused on being a luxury and all of this. And now we realize, you know, we got to discover what's meaningful to our clients and create something priceless for them, that becomes priceless for them. And that's a big thing. This idea of becoming priceless, not us becoming priceless as photographers, but creating something that's priceless to our clients. I think that's really starting to resonate with photographers, because they understand when you explain it like that, you know, you really got to understand that you're creating something meaningful and valuable to your clients, for your clients.
Well, what's interesting is I think that photographers, I think in the back of their minds have always understood that, because you hear people talk and you hear photographers say, you know, I found out from my client that when they were in an emergency, the first thing they took was their photographs, right? And you hear that story a lot, even from consumers or just people. Like, the first thing you would grab in a fire is your portraits, because they're priceless. So I think it's always been in the back of people's minds, but somehow some switch gets flipped in the minds of photographers. That they might know where the value of the pricelessness is, but then when they go to market, I think when they go to market, it switches and they get all wackadoodle and they flip it.
They don't know the value. They think that the value of the portraits being priceless is because of the quality of photography and the product.
I don't agree. I think that they know in the back of their minds it's because it's of their children or of their family.
You
And
think?
that's why they're grabbing it from a fire or a hurricane or a flood.
clients
they're grabbing
are.
it. Yeah, they're grabbing it because of it's their children, not because of the quality of the photography.
No,
But
I
when
know
you're
that.
going to market, I think somehow the photographer feels that they need to boast about the price, the value, and the luxury of the photography.
So Janine, can I just come in just for a second? So I think you're both saying the same thing, but in a different way. So here's how I see what you're both saying. So what I see is that the consumer, right, even if it's being sold to them as the photographer being the hero and the luxury piece, right, that the consumer is grabbing it not because it's a luxury based on the photographer being the hero, but what the work means to them. But the photographer, Janine, I don't think sees it that way.
That's my point.
When they're told that.
Yes. The consumer knows it's priceless to them because it's their family, but the photographer thinks that it's priceless to their consumer because of the quality of the work and the quality of the product. And that's what we're flipping as difference
I think
makers.
they want, in the back of their mind, I think they know that, but they want to believe. And I think that they want to believe that it's because I took the photos. Because who wouldn't want that? Right?
So Steve, you got this avatar that wasn't an avatar from the client, right? Yeah. So what happened next?
So I wrote an avatar using, and it forced me to write a framework because I know all the different components that you need to think about when it comes to writing an avatar because I teach that. And then I wrote what I believed was her avatar and sent it to her and said, I think this is who you're trying to target. Can you please have a read, share it with your team, and let me know? And she's like, wow, like you nailed it. And we learned so much and we see so much. It's been there in front of us, but we never took any notice. So we all get a little bit immune to, to certain things, and we don't know what we're meant to be paying attention to. And I think that's why going through the exercise of actually writing an avatar is so important, because it just alerts you to all of those things that you've become desensitized to, and sometimes all the things you didn't know you needed to know.
Right. So she agreed that the avatar that you wrote,
yes, totally matched the person that she's after and matched her best clients.
And matched her best clients. Okay, interesting. So Jonathan, just tell us about the other agencies, right, that she'd worked with. All three of them obviously didn't go through this with her as before they started running their ads for them.
Now, once I picked myself up off the chair after hearing that the agencies were charging €5,000 per month to run the ads, once I
getting no results,
once I got my head around that, definitely the other agencies did not explore the client avatar. We won't even talk about how they were setting up the ads. Let's just talk about the client avatar. They definitely did not explore that.
Well, she did say that they asked her a few questions to be able to write it, but it was nowhere near in depth. And you've got to understand too that this is a generic ad agency. They're serving lots of different industries. They can't possibly understand the depth of the avatar that they're targeting, because they're not in the photography industry.
And also, Steve, in fairness to the agency, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they are a generic agency, they're probably dealing with, no disrespect to this client, but maybe much bigger clients who have marketing departments, who are fully spec'd and, answer the questions that are asked in more detail perhaps than this client knew how to, because she hadn't nailed down her avatar, right?
Now, ideally, if we had the time, I would have coached that out of the client, so then she would learn how to do it. But because she came to us in desperation that this needs to change now. Otherwise, there are going to be serious things happening. We didn't have time. So, I just took it on board and wrote it for her. But the ad agency had lots of time up until this point. They should have been asking questions. So I think when you're, engaging, an ad agency, they really need to be understanding who that avatar is that they're targeting and ask the kind of questions that they need to in order to understand it.
So Janine, I'm really fascinated now to find out from Jonathan that this is probably the most detailed avatar he's probably had to work with, right? To create these Facebook ads, and then the language that Steve would use in the ads maybe could be different than what Jonathan did. So I'm really interested, because I don't know the answer. So I'm really interested in finding out. So what happened next when you have the avatar and you have, so you have Steve's avatar, you have Jonathan's ad copy formula. How did you blend those together?
Do you need me to leave the room, Jono, so you can tell the truth?
Very easily. Steve gave me the avatar and I plugged it into my ad copy formula and just created the copy. And one huge lesson, and we all make mistakes. One big learning lesson for me is that we have to do the avatar first.
We've been talking about that for how many years now?
I know, but what I'm saying is that, before, if we go BS, so before Steve, right? In fairness to all of us, like I said, Steve knows people better than anyone I've ever met. So we didn't have the level of depth and knowledge about what people secretly want that Steve does. And that's elevated our understanding of what an avatar needs to be. So I think that knowing that has allowed us to really tailor the copy to that specific avatar. And that's been a game changer. So the ad copy formula hasn't changed. The format of it, things have been elevated in terms of the wording used to speak to their secret desires, in terms of the value stack has gotten a big upheaval to make it really attractive to avatars. Because Steve, in your business, I know you didn't run Facebook ads, but because they didn't exist at the time, but you still use value stacks in exhibitions and in your offers, right? Yeah. So you had experience of those. So, elevating that has been a game changer too.
Well, it's the marriage of the perfect two, right? So if you elevate the language so that when someone reads it, they're reading it perfectly, but then the marriage of the technical aspect that you bring to it, Jonathan, that it has to reach the people and it has to reach it properly. And I know you didn't want to go into how you fell off the floor when you saw how poorly the ads were set up, but it is the two, right? Because if no one reads the ad copy, because it doesn't get to the then so it's you have to have both, and you have to be able to learn both.
So just a quick question before we go on, Jono, because I just want to ask a question, right? So I'm going to make a presumption here. So tell me if the presumption is even halfway right. So a lot of ad agencies dealing with larger companies, often they use Facebook as a branding exercise, just as branding. And the setup is completely different if you just want to get a whole audience looking at something that don't take any action. You're just making them name recognition is probably a better word for it rather than branding, right? Is that what was going on?
Partly, yeah, but it was mostly you hear, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like you said, most of Facebook's biggest clients are huge corporations with endless deep pockets of money to spend on ads, right? And how they kind of their support people teach you how to set up ads is not really relevant for local small businesses.
Well, that's why I think we hear it so much, Jonathan, don't we? That Facebook ads don't work, and it's because they're not using the right methods.
Yeah, and they're doing stuff that the meta experts, right? We've heard people who happen to call it the meta experts, who are probably great for big companies, but they're giving advice that just does not work for small local businesses. That's why we exist. Yeah. So as part of that, component of teaching.
All right. So we've got Steve Saporito avatar, right? none any better. So we start with that. We take the ad copy formula. We build that on top. You work together in some language. You redesign the value stack. The other agency hadn't had any leads for months. This client is up against the wall, stuck. What happened next?
Steve's dying to tell you the results.
Oh, go, Jono, go. I mean, it's you did it.
we published the ad, and in 3 weeks they've had more leads than they had all of last year. And I've started creating bookings too, which is most important.
Well, without any potential clients or leads, there are no bookings.
Right.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And now this client, Steve, had the rest of the process pretty nailed. Is that correct? So if they had the leads coming in, they were able to call and book them?
Yes. But these last 3 weeks have been trying, in that she's had 2 team members sick, and she had to put her dog down as well. And so that affects everything. But the leads are there, and they're making bookings regardless. And there's a drive to want to book people. So the rest of the process is pretty much nailed. They've got, a great welcome. The product is great. Nobody's ever going to do it perfect, and that's okay. Right? There's no such thing as perfect. But they're doing really, they're doing really well. And so I think we were waiting on a call today, and she said you had a client who came in and at the start of it said, I'm not spending over, I think it was 1,200, I think she said, or maybe 1,400, and walked out spending 4.5 or nearly 5.
Spent 4,900.
4,900. So the sales are good. And I think the other thing that we hear a lot, Janine, is that people from Facebook don't spend, or that the leads are right. But it's about whether we actually help them find their value, and whether we're giving them that real value, whether they've had an incredible experience that has made that person feel like they are successful, rather than focused on me being the ultimate photographer, which sometimes, that seems to be what a lot of people want. But the reality is that if we make our clients the hero, if we find out what they would love and make them feel valuable, then they'll spend. And so I think that part of it's good. It's good. It's really, it's good. Can it improve? Of course, everybody can improve.
Yeah.
But I think that whole mindset of Facebook doesn't give me good leads. It's been 3 weeks, but they've been making bookings. The clients have been coming in. This wasn't her only sale from the booking she's made in the last 3 weeks. I think the other one spent 7,000. There was another one that spent 7, and, she had a few more. We didn't go over all of that because we really need to focus on, the marketing side of it. But we just needed to know that the clients were being booked, they were coming in, and they were spending money.
Well, and to me, this is the most powerful aspect of Facebook. You had a client come to you in dire need. She needed the faucet of leads to turn on immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other method that you can turn the faucet on and get leads immediately.
Well, this is the beauty of portraiture, and it's also the beauty of Facebook, because, if you had to wait for an expo,
right,
you'd have to wait for an expo.
If you had to nurture an alliance or a networking partner or find a new one, that takes time. Working in community takes time. Not saying you shouldn't do it. It needs to be going on in the background. But if you need something immediate and you have to have that faucet turned on, there's nothing more powerful.
And immediate. But also consistent, Janine.
Yeah. Yes.
because you could be, the ad can now just keep running and running and running.
Yep.
And, they're now in a position where they could pretty much take over and run it themselves without an ad agency at all, and save themselves that $5,000, dollars. They've now joined the inner circle. They're now going through all the training, and they're realizing that this isn't as hard as they thought it was. Because
it's demystified.
It's a recipe, right?
Right.
Isn't it crazy though how people have to hit rock bottom sometimes
to take action.
To take action.
So guys, if there's one thing you learn from this podcast, it is don't wait. Take the action before you need to take the action.
Because it's really hard. And it's not like we can do this for everyone. Like, we can't possibly just swing into action because it's just not possible. But you're right. It's amazing how people wait till rock bottom. It's the same when people come sometimes and book workshops and all that. They wait till they've hit rock bottom thinking, well, maybe now I need to learn something.
Well, but we can because we've created the training. So anybody can join and watch the training and do this.
Yeah. But it took this
Yes.
for her to get into,
Yep.
for her to join the training. She knew about it. I'm going to do
Yep.
it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And it took this to finally, for her to join the training. So interesting. Good point, Ronan.
I do have the odd one now and again, Steve, just now and again.
That's not true. So what were some of the biggest things you learned, Jono, from this exercise? Because it was really great that we got to work together and that we got to help someone.
Yeah, it was. I mean, so there's nuances. Like, for example, some people are in a location that is small and tiny, right? That has a limited audience size. And it can be a little bit more challenging sometimes. I'm not saying Facebook ads can't work, but sometimes the metrics are different. So, for example, we have an Inner Circle member who's in London. And because they're in London, they get far more leads and their cost per lead's like £3. We have a client down further in England who, running like similar ads, like the same structure, but based on that location, they're paying like £20 a lead for like one of the offer types. This client that we've launched the ad for, we broke rules, and like we always say with direct offers that your direct offer should be under $100 euro pounds. Their direct offer is €295, and they're getting leads because of their location and the geolocation and the audience size. Like the audience size is big. They're getting leads for a similar price that Janine would get for a $75 direct offer in Tampa. So you did like this formula does work regardless of the location, but there's nuances, and we know those nuances because we get to work with so many clients from US, Canada, Europe, Ireland, UK, right? And one of the key lessons is that, and Ronan will love this because Ronan talks about this all the time, you have to know your numbers, right? You have to know what your average order value is, what you're willing to pay for a booking. You have to know then what your, from your potential clients, aka leads, what your conversion rate of potential client to booking is, so that you can then work out your budget and like how much you're willing to pay per lead. Because without knowing those numbers as part of this, and that's what we help with in the Inner Circle, like without knowing that, and you could look at another photographer and say, well, they're only paying $20 and we're paying like $40, or they're paying £2 and we're paying £20. Like, but it's relative to the business and to the average order and to like the volume that you need. So understanding those numbers is also a key part, and it just kind of reinforced the importance of that too. So the two takeaways were, one, how an avatar can elevate, your ad and your messaging. And the second lesson was a reiteration, just a reminder that, numbers are so key. They're critical to everything.
Because even going back to that client spending $5,000 a month getting no leads, like even if you got one booking, does €5,000 per booking make sense for your business? So it's interesting, isn't it, that it is a key part. Janine, and Steve, I was going to ask you something and I can't remember what it is now because Jonathan has brought me onto that important topic of numbers, but it was related to that. So I don't know what I was going to say.
I knew that would wake you up with your jet lag.
I know.
You get him talking numbers, Jonathan, it rejuvenates him.
But I just want to say that the clients we saw today, when we met with them today, were very different to the clients we met 3 weeks ago. Okay. And that's what's really important to me. Okay. The numbers and all that stuff. Yep. Great. But the energy, the smiles, the fun, I think understanding your avatar and speaking to your avatar and messaging, like sending that message that attracts the people that you love to work with because you understand it. They're just having so much more fun. Now, of course, there's more activity because there's more leads coming in. But I think what was said today also was that they're having more fun because the people that are coming in are also the right people and they're fun. And so it starts from the very beginning, knowing who those people you want are, because then your messaging, is everybody going to be perfect? Of course not. But it's, if you're not having fun and you're not loving what you're doing, then what's the point? The numbers are important, but the fun aspect is too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add to that too. And I'm sorry now to bring it back to numbers, but I'm going to bring it back to oxygen, that, if there's no oxygen in the room, you can't have fun, because if you can't breathe, you're not going to have fun, right? So if there's not cash in your business, it's the same as oxygen. And all these things are intermingled, but you absolutely, if you don't know who you want to serve and why you want to serve them and understand them, how you're going to serve them and deliver them the value, all the numbers in the world aren't going to make any darn difference, guys.
Yeah. One other thing that we said, because, they weren't getting any luck, was that, look, we're going to help you. We're going to build something, but whatever you do, don't turn whatever you've got on off. And I think this is another mistake a lot of people make, is that they see the next shiny thing and then they're turning what's working off and moving on to the next shiny thing. And until that shiny thing is tweaked and, and working, you need everything else still running. And so even though those ads were not generating leads and were not generating bookings, we still made sure that they were not turned off, because, maybe they will send something. But I think it's a big mistake a lot of people make is, we might, like even in the inner circle, we'll encourage people, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? What are you doing for, something else, something seasonal? And I think a lot of people then start turning ads off, without having tested a new ad or, got some results from this new, we see a lot of people, I want to add boudoir on, I want to add pet photography on. And then what happens is they turn everything else off and hope that this is going to work. And you just cannot. And even though the ads weren't working, we still didn't turn them off. And today, after 3 weeks, because we've had, the thing, they weren't generating any leads. So, she wanted to turn them off. So that's okay, because we've got some numbers.
All right. So Jonathan, I'm sold. I want to know more. Where can I get access to all this amazing training?
Well, Ronan, the absolute best place is inside the inner circle. So all you have to do to join an incredible community of difference makers is to click the link below this video and apply to join the inner circle today. And we cannot wait to welcome you into a community of thriving difference makers that create experiences and artwork that ends up being priceless for clients. Let's go.
That are meaningful. Yes. Thank you, everyone.
That was awesome. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you guys shared that story. I think it's helpful.
Yes, it's great.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.